All right, folks, we are back a little sooner than expected and a little different than expected. In the last video, I said I was going to talk about the Cavs and the Celtics and things like that in future videos. But first, we're going to talk about something that I think is a good thing for me to talk about specifically because it kind of encapsulates the way that I analyze basketball and basketball players in general. And that's the news about Cam Reddish and the Hawks seeking a first round pick for him. And this report has come out like 17 times already, so nothing might come of it. But I think it's a good chance for me to talk about a player that I think is like really talented, but also the idea of theoretical talent versus whether or not a person can actually reach that potential. And if anybody follows me on Twitter, a couple of y'all do. Y'all know I just tweeted a video of Cam Reddish making a pass, and like my thing with basketball players is I'm not a person who gets like super low on people when they don't do certain things by a certain amount of time. I'm actually like optimistic, almost to a fault, for like most players that I watch if I think I see something in them, and like they can I have this joke where I'll say that if they do like one like tremendously smart or skilled thing, I'll believe in them for 7 years no matter what they do in the meantime. I'll give them as much time as possible. And Cam Reddish is one of these people. I didn't follow him like until he got to the league. Like I know the Duke teams and everything. I didn't like I said, I don't watch college basketball that much. I watched Zion and things like that when he was playing, but I wasn't really, I didn't have the analytical glasses on when I was watching that team. It was mostly RJ, Zion, and I wasn't really paying attention beyond that. But I started like I saw some Hawks games and I would see Cam do some things. I'm like, oh, everybody said this guy's talented. Let me look a little further into his things and like see what's really going on. So I was looking at his first year of film. This was last year before the second year started when they were having reports about like the Timberwolves looking at him and things like that. Because, I was watching Timberwolves at that time. And I saw one play. Well, not one play. I saw a lot of plays of him just doing like good stuff on the ball as a play creator. Because the way I analyze basketball, I go passing first. Like if I'm going to see if a person can actually play basketball, I'm going to look at their passing first. Specifically, how they pass off the dribble. Because it tells me a lot of things about that person. Like as a basketball player, one, it tells me whether or not their handle is functional. So if they're if they're able to drive and kick, that's fine. But just the way they can operate off the dribble without it necessarily leading to a shot. But if they can just get to spots on the court and do things that they need to do on the court, and it tells me if their handle is functional, because if you can pass off the dribble, you can transition from dribble to doing something else, and that can lead to off the dribble shooting and things of that nature. Two, if they can pass with both hands, the velocity on the passes and like where they're passing the ball. And like this just tells me how they can read defenses and whether or not they have other transferable skills and things like that. I'm not going to get totally into it, but that's kind of how I start my analysis on people, because just passing can tell you a lot about how their brain works and their skill level. So Cam had this one play, this one specific play. He had a lot of great passes off the dribble, things like that, and we'll get into that. But it was this one specific play where he caught the ball on the wing. He drove left off the dribble. He threw a pass across the baseline, like a bounce pass with his offhand across the baseline, double bounce to a corner shooter, hit a three. I'll put the play up so you can see it. But that right there, I tweeted out, I'm like, yo, this play right here, 7 years of unconditional belief in Cam Reddish. I don't care what he does. I don't care what he does beyond this point. I'm going to just believe in him I'm going to believe in him until then. And like, it's been a tough goal so far. Like I'm not like a Cam Reddish truth or anything. I just believe he has a lot of talent. And the question is whether or not he can actually reach that talent. The one thing that he's really good at, I'm not going to say he's not really good at anything. The one thing that I see that he has a lot of capability of being is like a secondary playmaker, just like off the rip. Like now, is this worth first round pick type talks? I don't know, but he just has a lot of talent where he's adaptable, like off the catch and off the dribble and things like that. He's not like a dynamic break somebody down off the dribble person. But he's a person that can come. He can run some PNR for you, some pick and roll. PNR. He can run some pick and roll for you for stretches. Like we saw the Hawks, like when he was a rookie, they tried him at back, like a backup point guard kind of role, and he had some success. Like he wasn't blowing anybody away, but what he showed me in that time is that he's like a capable ball handler. He's a capable passer, and I think that's a skill that he doesn't really get to show as much because of the way the Hawks are ran. It's a Trey heliocentric kind of vibe there. But let me get that gas up out of me. But I think that he has a lot of talent, like off the dribble, in situations where he can attack off the catch and survey a defense and just make quick decisions that aren't with a full set defense, as opposed to being at the top of the key and being at the top of the key and being a main creator type of person. And I think that has a lot of value, especially the way he goes about it. Like if you watch like my Zach LaVine video and I talked about being very adaptable, like off the dribble and stuff like that, Cam has a lot of those kind of traits where he can do things with either hand, and he has a little start and stop pace to his game. He has very like functional abilities that can be tremendously useful if like developed properly. The problem is he has this issue that a lot of young players have, and I think he has one specifically that kind of hampers him in a lot of ways. And it's this thing where you see a player with a lot of talent, and they have all these skills, and they show you like all of the skills in different areas. They don't do it consistently, but they have this thing where they're using the skills, but they're not applying them in a way that leads to like productive basketball. Like Kevin Porter Jr. has this problem a lot where it's just like he's showing you all these dribbles he can do, but he's in the same spot while he's doing them, and it doesn't lead to like functional, tangible results on the basketball court. Like we have this idea, well not we, but players that are like good scorers in the NBA or good playmakers or things, they have the idea of like getting to a certain spot on the floor and like consistently doing that and getting to that spot and making a decision or getting a shot up or things like that. And watching Cam like offensively, he does a lot of things that are like, wow, this dude is doing it. You know what I mean? But he doesn't have a consistent place on the floor or places on the floor where he would go to get buckets. You see his buckets, they all over the court, just get in where you fit in. He doesn't have a consistent like move or like skill that he relies on that allows him to just be a consistent player. And I think that's part of the reason we see a lot of the sporadic things from him, because he doesn't seem to be playing with a plan most of the time, which sounds crazy, but he's like so talented that he kind of like, you know, so there's this thing where you have a guy who looks like he's trying to find like his way as far as what he's good at on the court and things like that. And he has skills to do a multitude of things, but he doesn't pick one of those things and get like, you know what I'm saying, consistent at it enough to where it could be a reliable thing. Of course, he's a shooter and things like that. I think that's one of the main problems he has, though. We'll talk about that in a minute. But just having a consistent thing that you're good at, that you can rely on from game to game, he doesn't seem to have that. Like, he has all the skills to do all of these things, but it's not put together in a way that can yield consistent results, right? The one thing that I've seen that he does well consistently, well is relative, but the thing that I can see that he would be able to do on any roster at any time, he's like really good at like coming off ball, getting a handoff, and making a decision, whether it be a passing decision or a shooting decision. He seems to be, you know, comfortable doing that, for lack of a better word. And like him as a passer, I'll have clips up so you'll be able to see all this stuff as I'm talking. But he's not like a guy who just is a drive and kick type of person. He can survey the floor. He can make passes to the opposite corner, opposite wing. He can do all these things off the dribble with his passing or with his shooting, but it's never a consistent thing. And I think the one thing that really is an issue for him and that's really holding him back, I don't like his shooting form. Now, it's not that it's like an aesthetic thing that I don't like about his shooting form. I don't think it's functional off the dribble because he's like 6'8", 6'9". He's a very tall person, but his shooting form is like in front of his face. And I was watching like his clips and I'm like, oh, his shot gets disrupted a little too easily. And like I didn't have the numbers in front of me at the time. So I went and looked up at the numbers. I don't have them in front of me now. But like off the dribble shooting, he's never like, especially from like three, he's never been over like 29%, which is like awful. If you're trying to be like a primary initiator, he's like in the low 30s as a off the dribble shooter. Of course, that's a hard shot. A lot of people are in that range, but like compare that to his spot up numbers and things like that. It's just obvious that that's an issue where he struggles. And if he wants to be like a player in this league, that's kind of something that you kind of have to be able to do. We saw this kind of problem with like Brandon Ingram in the beginning of his career, where he had all these arms and he was just like way longer than everybody, but he was letting like 6'3" dudes just get up in his space and disrupt him. And like, if you can't convert shots like that, you're probably not going to be a person that could be relied on to be an offensive weapon in that way. Uh, a lot of the things also that gets Cam in trouble is that he uses his left hand a lot. Like I said, we talked about Zach LaVine, but he relies on his left hand to do a lot of things that he probably shouldn't do. Like he can pass with his left hand, but like if you see a lot of his turnovers, it's a lot of left hand based stuff. He's going left, and he kind of gets in trouble, and then it kind of falls apart from there. But the talent with this guy is exceptional in a couple of respects, but we have to worry about consistency. I'm kind of rambling. This didn't turn out exactly how I expected. But do I think he's worth a first round pick currently? Probably not. He just hasn't shown enough consistency to be worth that kind of draft equity. Like maybe I think. Well, I'm not gonna say probably not. If he's worth one, it has to be a highly protected like top 20 type. Because I think the talent. I think you take a chance on that kind of talent. He's 6'8", 6'9". I didn't even talk about the defense, and I don't really talk about defense on the channel because, like, as we're seeing with certain defenders this year, a lot of the things rely on scheme and personnel and things like that. And I haven't watched enough Hawks games to just tell you why, like, he's a part of all these awful defenses and things like that. Like, I know he has good hands, he has good size, and his passing suggests that he has good feel and things like that, but you know, these things take some time to come together. A lot of inconsistency in his role could play a part in this. He plays like a rookie that's like trying to find trying to find what he's good at, except he's in his third year. But a lot of that could be attributed to reps and role. Like, just call it what it is. Trey has the ball a lot, like you know, and so when you playing in that kind of role, you kind of don't have the chance to spread your wings, for lack of a better term. And he plays like a person that's kind of just like that doesn't know that they probably shouldn't do these things, like, but then they're gonna try. And he has like the main thing is though he has the capability to try. A lot of people don't even have the capability to try these things. So will he get better in a more defined role? Who's to say? But I think the talent is worth probably, you know, super protected first round pick. I probably still wouldn't do it just because I don't think that the rest of the league would value him like that. But like as a personally, I think like he would be worth taking that kind of flyer on for some rosters. Um, do I think he eventually reaches the potential people have for him? Who's to say? You know, these sound like cop outs, but like, you know, I just uh basketball is funny, man. All it takes is a little bit of confidence, a little bit of opportunity, and you never know what somebody can be. So I'm not gonna say like he can't become the guy that everybody would think he would become at some point. I will say he has all the talent to do it, but like I said, that shooting off the dribble is questionable, and he needs a specific skill set that he can rely on in order to like just be able to be a consistent presence night in and night out, which he hasn't done so far over his career. But TLDR, I think he's a very talented player. I think he could be a good player, but you know, uh, That's all I got. It's the original videos, not the original, but the videos that we typically do. Be back soon. Um, I want to thank everybody for all the well wishes from the last video. I got these headphones on, probably a bad idea, but I'm trying to see if I'm actually getting better. So we'll see how this happens. Got some good stretches from my physical therapist, so things are looking a little better, but we're still recovering. Um, but yeah, new videos coming soon. I think that's all I really got for y'all. Till next time.